It is time to go lights out with Chad Little from NASCAR. And Chad, since you and me worked together back in the TV days, you've had a pretty cool run with NASCAR. You've done some interesting things from the trucks, from some of the international stuff that you did, and now the managing director role. Take us through your career with NASCAR, how you started and what you've been doing.
Well, let's see. When color televisions began, John, I went to work for NASCAR about in 2005, and I'm still here today. And I work in our competition department. It's been a good ride. I enjoy it. We help manage the events during the weekend, basically, from cars being in the garage, inspection, on track, all of the controversial decisions that are made in the tower. Yep, you could point a finger at us, and that's what we do. So, officiating live events is exciting and at times challenging, but we're trying to weather the storms.
Yeah, and Chad, when you look at some of the NASCAR fan is a difficult fan, and it's a good thing. They expect a lot from the sport because the sport has delivered a lot over the years. Now, some of the things today, you might hear a fan here and there say, hey, I don't like that decision. But, man, when you look at the overall product right now, there are rear ends and seats, the earliest sellout ever for the Daytona 500. Some of the TV ratings are breaking records that were set 5, 6, 7 years ago. I would imagine there's a pretty good feeling around the NASCAR sanctioning body right now that things are moving in a pretty good direction.
Well, we certainly pay a lot of attention to our broadcast numbers each weekend, and then also to the number of fans at the races and our feedback from the fans. And those have been positive, like you just mentioned. We have a lot of, collaboration, as we call it, with the teams right now. We get a lot of feedback from them on how things are going, more than ever before, a lot more than when I was driving, and certainly more than when I started here. So those things are very positive. And when you see the first 5 events of 2025 outpacing, year over date of what we saw from a broadcast standpoint, it is exciting, and we need to keep that momentum going. And all 3 of our national series are really doing well right now, and we're excited about that. And it just came off a great weekend in Vegas, and now we're off to Homestead.
So, Chad, one of the big things that people are talking about right now in the world of NASCAR is who gets these coveted seats, who is approved to race on any given Sunday, because we know the level of competition has never been higher. The skill of the drivers is so high right now. How do you guys go about that decision process to approve a driver to race on any given Sunday or Saturday night?
So the process we use is we evaluate the driver's experience. Well, let me back up. Depends on what series he wants to compete in, but we're all most familiar with Cups, so we'll start there. If a driver emails us and says, "Hey, I want to run a Cup race," generally they choose what race. We know the team, but often it's just a driver who's wanting to be approved for the Cup series. So simply we look at his past experience. Sometimes it's an easy decision. You might have a Xfinity truck driver that's come up through the ranks, ran in ARCA, run in trucks, run in the Xfinity series, and it's been competitive. So those are the easy ones. And then the more difficult ones are drivers that, come from other series and have had success in other series. And, we simply look at that experience, what kind of cars they drove, weight, horsepower wise, and the type of tracks they ran on. And then we look at the team that they're going to drive for. So it's a number of factors like that. It's similar to how other series approve drivers. How many races have you run, and what have you done?
And so also, Chad, I think Robin Pemberton once said, and I thought he put this in a great way, people were talking about NASCAR's consistency. And when Robin was vice president, he said, yeah, of course you want consistency, but there's different situations in terms of rules and in terms of drivers. So I would imagine you guys can't really be perfectly consistent with driver approval because every driver comes from a different background and a different situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think we're fairly consistent, but I think you're 100% right, John. It is. How do you have a black and white rule that says you got to check these 5 boxes and then you're approved when the 5 boxes are different each time, right? So, as Robin put it, it is difficult. You can't have a black and white rule when you're evaluating sometimes driver from IndyCar series, maybe even the F1 series, maybe it's open wheel, maybe he's only been on dirt. So it really comes down to what kind of series have you raced in, how many cars are in that series, what size of tracks have you raced on, horsepower, weight of the vehicle. We look at all those things and we try to just luckily we have a pretty good track record of what it's taken to be a cup driver, and we hold that at a higher level, and we try to approve drivers that we feel at the end of the day we want them to be successful too. We don't want to approve someone who from our experience would not be successful, because it helps NASCAR, it helps the driver when everybody wins.
All right, so in between your driving career, Chad, and the time you went to NASCAR, and I apologize this, you had to work with me on TV. We did NASCAR This Morning together, and although we did take some things seriously, we had a good time. I got to tell the folks that are watching this one story, though, and I don't know if you remember it or not, but I certainly do, okay? We had left the studio and went to Daytona for our first big live broadcast, right? And so we're on site in Daytona's Victory Lane, and it's the guy gives us like 1 minute towards air, and I look over at you, Chad, and you gave me the international sign for you have something hanging in your nose, and I believed you. And I am scampering around to try to find a tissue, and then I look back over and realize you were kidding. I don't know if you remember that or not, but that was our first live
No,
broadcast.
that wasn't me, John. You're confusing
Oh,
me with someone else.
Oh, it was, brother. Hey, Chad, but we had some fun together doing TV, didn't we?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a good transition from being a driver, and my son raced in the national series, mostly the truck and Xfinity series, and then he came to NASCAR, and he's still here today as well. And I remember when I started, it was difficult the first couple of years. I was used to going to the racetrack and walking around the garage. The first couple of years, I had to walk around the garage and on the other side, not on the team side. It was challenging. So the TV with you broke the ice, John. It was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it.
All right, Chad. So what's coming up here next for NASCAR? I know there's a lot of exciting things on the horizon with international events. Anything in particular you guys are working on you can share with us, or is it just stuff that's kind of under the radar right now?
Well, Mexico City is certainly a big event that's coming up. A lot of coordinating, as you can imagine. The logistics of bringing all of our Cup and Xfinity teams down to Mexico is overwhelming, but we're up for the task. We have a good group of people that work on that. We want to keep the momentum going in Xfinity and Cup, and of course the Truck Series as well. The schedule is kind of interesting. I don't get involved a lot in that, but I think the fact that we're going to Mexico City, we had Bowman Gray this year. There's been a couple of those one-offs that have proved successful, and I expect those things to continue. But it's we concentrate on getting our teams to the tracks and making sure that we can be as consistent as possible with our inspections and officiating each week.
Chad, thank you so much for joining us, man. It's great catching up with you, brother. I miss you. We had a lot of good times together, and we got to make it not so long in between the times that we talk next time.
You got it, John, and I wish you the best, and I'm a big fan of your show, so thank you for having me on.
Thanks, brother. We'll talk soon. Keep up the good work.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, Chad, thanks, man. That was fun. That was really cool.
Yeah. That was painless, wasn't it?
Absolutely. It is time to go lights out with our weekly Freedom Racing Report, and driver Spencer Boyd coming off a great start at Las Vegas that didn't end the way you guys wanted it to. But Spencer, again, you guys went to the racetrack with a great truck, picking up year after year, week after week. It seemed like the improvement was really there.
Yeah, it was huge. Vegas was awesome. Truck was really good. Mike and the boys did a great job. To unload with that kind of speed was fantastic. Vegas was a big struggle for us last year, and to come out of the gate top 25 in practice and then qualifying, it's kind of one of those deals where it was like, just go replicate practice and qualify in the top 25, and let's keep the weekend going strong. And we were actually able to qualify 21st, 3.5 tenths off the pole at a 1.5 miles. It's big for a small team like us.
Yep, no question about that. But, man, the great Mark Martin once told me, he said it's not really, you can't really just go in racing with your finishing position. Yeah, that's what the box score says. But what you really have to do is you have to look back at the effort that the team put together, the improvements throughout the weekend. And you guys know where you really finished in terms of what might have happened luck-wise on the track.
Yeah, it's just crazy, right? You always... it's good luck and bad luck. So we had a strong run. We led a lap. We had some good strategy. We ran in the top 20 for a lot of the race. And ultimately, with about 15 laps to go, we got debris on the grill, piece of a tear off, super sticky, and overheated. Had to pit under green, went a lap down, which was proud for that. I mean, to do a green flag pit stop and the boys figure out exactly what was wrong and clean the grill, get us back out there and not lose another lap was huge. And a caution would have been nice, but we'll take a 25th, one lap down, fight through that adversity. Our guys were pumped. I was joking with Mike and Jeff. I'm like, I think this is the first practice I got photos of all of us actually smiling. So that was cool.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, when you're smiling at the racetrack, it's something. But you guys got something huge to be smiling about this weekend. What a momentous occasion for you and the race team to be bringing that second truck to the racetrack. Tell us about your teammate and your other truck.
Yeah, so we've been excited about this. We set out this year to say, hey, let's do 5 or 6 races with a second truck and try and grow the program. And we have Ryan doing a few races throughout the year, and this deal came about. Michel from France, we're awesome, stoked really to have him on board. For Freedom Racing to have a driver from overseas want to join the team and be a part of this is huge. He's ran 3 NASCAR truck races before. He has a very vibrant personality with a vibrant paint scheme. I'm like, man, this does not look like a paint scheme I would run. So Spotter will be able to know who's who for sure. Really excited to get down to Miami. It's a really cool racetrack, and we had a good run there last year going. So I feel good about the 76 team, and then the 67 team. We got a great group. We got a couple guys that worked with us last year that are in different roles within motorsports now, coming out to be a part of this second program when we take it. So a lot of familiar faces, and pumped to get to the racetrack with Michelle.
Yeah, especially with the improvement that you guys are making. It must be a really good feeling. I know racers want to be at the racetrack, but you told me last night you're getting your hands dirty. So you're an owner? You're working on these trucks? You're working on sponsorship and everything? I imagine you're a pretty busy guy, Spencer.
It's super busy, but I love it for sure, and I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. And I try and pinch myself sometimes. I'm like, man, 10 years ago, I wouldn't believe what we're doing, even 5 years ago. So get my hands dirty, getting things ready for the second truck and pit signs and all different things. And Mike and Jeff are pulling the 67 down and getting that truck prepared. And my truck was getting wrapped last night with an awesome Epoxy Depot USA.com paint scheme. Looks really sharp. We've been trying to put that together for a while, so we're stoked. They have 25 locations across the country selling epoxy floor products, and maybe we'll do the shop here soon.
Yeah, I tell you, Spencer, no sponsors, no racing. We know how difficult this is. But when you go and you get a new sponsor like this, it gives you a little bit of a, well, hop in your step, doesn't it? That you want to do really well for this new partner?
It truly does. These guys have a huge presence of locations down in Florida. There's a lot of people in Florida with epoxy floors. It's a big thing. So we're stoked to have them on board. We want to have a good run. They've been in drag racing. They've been on a cup car. They've been in motorsports in several different avenues. And a mutual friend, we were able to put this together. And Steven, the owner, and I, we're very similar. So he's a go-getter. He's an aggressive guy. And he's really grown this company over the last 3 or 4 years. And we're excited to have him join myself and everyone here at Feedom Racing.
So on our last Feedom Racing report, we talked about you guys heading out to Vegas. Now, unfortunately, I just saw pictures of this, but you had the beer sponsor, which I'm always all for. Beer sponsor's a good sponsor. But you guys had the Brewers out there with you and a little bit of fun as well in Vegas.
Yeah, we had a great time, man. Brew Dog in Las Vegas. It's a huge bar, 3 stories, rooftop. Little did we know, maybe we should watch the news more, but there was a solar eclipse going on, so we grabbed some refreshments, went out on the patio and watched that. That was pretty cool. Great beer. They had a Spencer Boyd beer. It was only 4%, so that's good. Wasn't too strong, but great time for the team and I, and a longtime partner of mine, NorCal Equipment Rentals out of Sacramento. They came out to Vegas to hang out and watch the race and be a part of it, and they joined us, and we just had a great time. It was fun. Everybody cut loose a little bit, and then got ready for the racetrack the next day.
Spencer, what are you finding when you talk to business owners and potential sponsors right now with the way NASCAR is really picking up? We've talked to some NASCAR officials recently on the program, and they're elated with the number of with the pairs of eyes that are on these TV broadcasts, with the butts that are in seats right now, for lack of a better term. It just seems like there's a good buzz around the racetrack right now, and hopefully for you guys that are out there digging, it helps go into these businesses.
It truly does. When the sport is healthy, every aspect of it seems to, tempo pick up and things get better. So you see a lot of new companies willing to get into the sport with all the eyes on the Cup Series, all the media, all the attention. I feel like there's more people paying attention to NASCAR than ever. There's definitely new style of fans. Different demographic, age group, but it's crazy. Like, we were at the Brew Dog thing, and I mean, there were a bunch of 21 30-year-old guys, and they were like stoked to be talking about NASCAR, and that's great. I mean, I think we all can look at it and understand that the NASCAR fan base is getting a little older, so the fact that there's younger folks getting into it is fantastic, and a lot of those younger guys and girls are business owners, so it's it's kind of one of the same when you're trying to get partners into the sport. And the Truck Series, you look at the butts in the seats, and people are showing up. So I've been a part of the trucks for a good amount of time now, and it feels good to be up on the upswing.
Yeah, and it was freezing in Vegas. It was cold, and there was still a lot of people out there as well, and that says a lot. Hey, Spencer, we know you're a busy guy, man. We appreciate you taking the time to talk with us on this edition of the Feedom Racing Report, and we're really looking forward to next week because we're going to have 2 trucks to talk about, and again, hopefully another one of those great finishes and great weekends for you guys.
Absolutely. Looking forward to getting out there. Thanks for having me on, and hopefully I have something else to get excited about next week. And just can't wait to get to the racetrack. Tune in.
Go get him, brother.
Thank you.
Today's Feedom Racing Report is brought to you by Epoxy Depot. Experience unbeatable value and convenience.